Hey, everybody,
All
welcome
right.
to a brand new episode of the Creators Outlet Podcast with our special guest tonight, Frankie B. Washington.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How
And
you
Matt,
doing?
co-creators of Kaijus and Cowboys. Yes,
Hello.
Yes.
the campaign seems to be doing pretty well so far.
Yes.
Just a little.
Yes.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Just
Funded in
just
3
a
days,
little.
no big deal.
Yeah.
You know,
Trudging along.
it's just a thing.
Yeah.
You gotta be out flowing.
Well, you know what's funny is that I'm starting to see you're seeing so many people that are doing campaigns, but also one thing I'm noticing is more Western stuff. I'm like, wow, a lot more Western stuff is starting to pop up. So I'm wondering if the genre is starting to sort of make its way back into the the mindset of people and pop culture.
It might also be that a lot of modern books kind of like. Ugh.
Could be.
Well,
Could be a mixture of that.
I
don't know.
From the big two, like I quit reading and collecting Batman and Detective Comics for the first time since 1974.
Wow.
Wow. When there was an issue, and Bruce was sitting at the table, and all the dialogue they gave to him turned him into like a social justice warrior. I go, that's not Batman. I can't read that. That's not Batman.
I mean, the current Superman stuff is actually pretty good. I mean, I've been trying to avoid Batman, not as because of what is going on. It's just because Batman's so overexposed these days. But I mean, Superman's good. What else am I reading? Harley Quinn's actually really good. They got Stephanie Phillips on it. She's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff, but it's.
I've been catching up on indie stuff. Most of the stuff I'm getting is mostly indie stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Forged from Image. That's really good.
I mean, I wrapped up
like
Kaiju Max, that stuff. Kaiju Max, and a couple little mangas here and there. But I don't know. I'm eclectic. I tend to read anything that sort of sparks that interest. I'll be like, all right, I'll check it out.
Yeah. If you like the artwork, you'd be like, I'll see what's going on, and
exactly. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, what's the point? Comic books are a visual, storytelling vehicle. I mean, so in some degree, the artwork, it's got to be appealing, and then it sort of draws you in, and then you see the story and stuff, and then it carries on.
Yeah, kind of like my first exposure to manga was 2 movies, Ninja Scroll and Akira.
Oh, those are your first 2? Wow.
Those are the first 2 I watched. And I'm like, and then I go back and I'm like, apparently I saw the best 2.
No, actually, no, there's been a lot. I'll take you even further back, because back in the day, in the 80s, I used to be part of an anime club. And I used to hang out, when I grew up in Boston, but I used to hang out with some cats over in Cambridge. There's Crying Freeman. I would suggest if you ever hear about that one. Crying Freeman's amazing, amazing manga and amazing anime. Oh my God. Demon City Shinjuku. Fist of the North Star, Mega Zone 23,
Fist of the North Star, and the
Battle Angel Alita, which they made a movie out a couple of years ago.
I haven't seen the movie, and
it's okay.
Read the book.
It's not awful.
Battle Angel Alita, the manga is incredible. I mean, it's on a level with the artist himself. I can never think of remember his name, but it's like a Kira level. Like, this guy drew everything, the movements, everything. Oh, it's absolutely beautiful.
My co-host.
I see. There's no love for Lone Wolf and Cub.
Oh, of course, that's a big one too. Lone Wolf and Cub.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, and absolutely gorgeous and incredibly violent. So, if you want to see limbs flying off and blood and gore everywhere, that's absolutely. That exists. So,
Yeah. I feel like I have a couple of copies somewhere of Lone Wolf and Cub. I mean, it's a massive series. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 2 of the series that you mentioned, Fist of the North Star, and one of the other ones, I actually had some of those books.
All right.
When Marvel still had Epic.
Okay.
They were licensing out some of the manga stuff. I don't know
if
they were licensing them out from Viz, but they were putting them out like in prestige, like the square bound.
Sure.
Like high end papers and everything. And I had gotten a couple of them because I know some of them were video games, and I played the video games.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, when I look at manga now, I do see a little discrepancy in the sense of style wise. Like I only judge it more so from the sense of how things look. Like when I grew up, I remember manga from the 70s and 80s where the style was a much more like, well, I felt adults look like adults. That was one of the big things. And like the artwork had a noir look, like people literally drew like people look like, not real people, but it was like you could tell an adult from a child. The stories were a little bit more adult. Like again, you had Ghost in the Shell. You had I don't know. They weren't as wink humor. Like there were some that was like that, but I think that now a lot of the shows now have a mixture, a lot more of the humor element. Whereas back then it was almost like noir. It's almost like you watch. I call it noir. So it was almost like the 1940s kind of storytelling of like, the bad guy, the kind of atmospheric kind of feel to the stories. The music was on point. It was almost jazz kind of music and stuff. So that's stuff I grew up with. Macross, another Macross. Yep.
Yep. Like Robotech.
Macross. Yep.
I know you know all these. The Force 5 robots.
Oh, of course.
I should have went over. I still have my little like 3-inch space dragon, but not the Guy King.
Sure.
The red one.
And it's so funny how many people remember that stuff. I think that's one of the reasons why, like, in doing Kaijus and Cowboys, we were like, we there's definitely a market for this kind of stuff. It's just it surprises me that it's kind of unfortunate because I see a lot of people only focusing on the legacy IPs. Like they'll be like, oh, the Voltron, and they'll start rambling off Godzilla and all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, but there's always room for new stuff, just to add it in there, and so that's why I think that what we're doing is being part of that whole new mixture, because there's a lot of people. Suddenly, I'm turning around. There's a lot of people coming out from the indie market with kaiju stories, kaiju books, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Like I think I dropped the note because I had gotten one that was at like an online auction, but it was like a crowdfunded kaiju book, like 48 pages.
All right. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good.
All right, cool. There you go.
The story was like, solid, and the artwork was really cool. The cover was amazing.
Nice.
And considering a lot of crowdfunded books start around that $25 mark.
Yep.
I was blessed to get that for $5.
Wow. Well, see, that's all. That's all.
It actually carried them because they support the indie market. So it is a good like retailer tier, and they see something that catches their eye while they're flipping through. They'll get it and try it, and a lot of them will get it and try it in the store because what's it going to hurt? You buy like 5 indie books.
Sure.
They'll be gone in a month, if not less, and then you could contact the guys that made the book and place an actual order for when they're done with fulfillment.
Yeah, I think that one of the things about it is that if indie comic books are able to maintain a quality level, that is, in some degree, and I know it's kind of tough in a certain degree, but if we can maintain a sort of standard and level that's almost comparable to what's already out there on the mainstream. And when I think of mainstream, I honestly, I don't just think of Marvel and DC. I think of like Boom Studios. I think of Behemoth. I think of Scout. I think of like they're like under the tier. Like if there's Marvel and DC, then there's IDW. There's there's
Image.
A few others. Image. There you go. That's one. I don't know why I was like the other eye. And so those are the other ones. So it's like we're competing against not just the big guys like Marvel and DC. It's like we're competing against this other tier, this other group. So you got indie down here, and you got this other tier right in here, the mid mark, and then you have like the top tier, the ones that that everybody around the world knows. Like they'll be like, oh, Marvel, DC. Like some kid out there will just know who they are, even though they probably never read a book or whatever. But then there's the middle tier, and so it's like, if we're at the bottom, we have to make sure that our standard and quality of work is somewhere close to in the mid tier at least. or some can even go as further than the top, but it has to be up on a level where it could be comparable for people to really be like, okay, now we can take these guys serious.
And it helps that a lot of books now will be like 48 to like 100 and something pages. So
yeah, so a graphic novel.
It's full graphic novel size.
Yeah, full graphic novel. Yeah,
and it's like the average graphic novel is like $25. Yeah, that's how I equate it to keep spending money on crowdfunded books, because I'm like, well, another new graphic novel.
But I'm wondering, does that ever get kind of costly though? I mean, what if you get something and you spend, because it's not until you say $25, and then what is the shipping cost? Because
the shipping is I think it's inside the US is like depending on where the point of origin is like $15.
Oof. Well, so shipping for us at least. I mean, there's media mail. The U.S. Postal Service does media mail, and that's like you can ship like documents and media, so like books, DVDs, that sort of thing, at a reduced price. Like the last crowdfunding campaign we did, it was like $7.
Oh wow.
And so, like, I mean, if you want to be like kind to the customers, you can incorporate that into the cost.
But he's talking about graphic novels, though.
Yeah.
So that's like if you're talking like a 48-page comic book. So they're not charging by weight.
They do.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like if you got a 48-page to 100. Page graphic novel. We got a 22-page floppy, so that of course the weight on that's probably whatever less. Well, definitely less than a trade paperback.
Yeah, with the graphic novel, is it a soft cover or a hardcover?
So a hardcover is like always like an upcharge.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer the hardcovers because once you put them up on your shelf, the corners start kind of.
So you don't mind. So you wouldn't mind spending like a total of like $60-$70. For a book.
I just spent that on Timothy Fling's cryptid book, the first issue of his cryptid book.
Oh wow!
I bought it. I bought
interesting.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
I don't want to tell you what I spent on Neff's book.
Oh. Man,
but I did sell my entire run of the first Jane Foster Thor books.
All right.
Like with like 3 number 1s. And I sold my entire Jason Aaron Thor run.
Okay.
Brought out like the God Butcher and all that stuff.
Sure.
That was a good one.
I sold about 50 or 60 books.
Wow.
Most of which were like either like minor keys or major keys,
sure,
and like a bunch of the filler issues. I got like $800 for that.
Okay.
And then I bought the collector's box from Global Frequency, and then I bought the merch box.
Wow.
So
now here's an interesting question: are you more interested in the merch, or are you interested in the actual book? You're in the
like
book.
There's been some where I just want the book. If they've got the the plain Jane, just the book, it's this much, and I'm like, okay, because
all right.
I mean, I've got from years of collecting Lady Death since he relaunched Coffin Comics.
Yeah,
I've got like these big giant bags full of stuff. I'm like,
yeah.
And I stopped collecting. My daughter's going to be 15 this year.
Yeah.
But I was like looking at like the stuff through the bag when it came in. I opened it up, and I always buy like just as homage covers to like older books.
Sure.
And it was like a Detective 27 homage, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking through it. I mean, I was like, Daddy, what's that? And she points at the bag, and I spin the bag around. And I'm like, oh dear, I'm not buying these anymore. There was a Lady Death condom in my bag.
Hey.
Wow, they really pushed it, huh? Wow.
I'm like, I thought it was a coin, and then I go, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, I guess sometimes it can't. I guess it can get kind of ridiculous to a certain degree because a part of me is like, yeah, you're sort of getting away from the message that this is supposed to be for the book. It's about the book, but I think people get a little excited and they start bringing all this extra stuff and whatever, and it gets kind of convoluted.
You end up with like 30-gallon totes, dedicated to like one.
Well, we're not offering that. We're
not doing condoms. We're not doing condoms.
We've skimmed down. We've actually tried to keep our campaign very lean, very mean. You just go in, you know what you're getting, and then boom, you come right back out. One of the big things, what I think me and Matt are both excited about, is that we're finally getting more issues out. Because I think that's the most important thing, to sort of get people into the story, into the world, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, because I know you get excited about kaijus and robots.
Yes,
any kaijus, any robots. So I'm like,
yes,
he does. He absolutely does.
This book's going to be good, just on the fact that from knowing you, I know how much you love the subject matter.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be like, oh, he's gonna go all in on this no matter what. So
it's an exciting time. I try to tell other people, I'm like, I love other stuff, mind you. I mean, I love sci-fi stuff, fantasy, horror, all that stuff. But kaijus and giant robots have always been a niche market, especially here in the West. They've been just a niche thing. And for years, off and on, we would see little things here, see a little Godzilla movie or whatever, in the 50s, they tried to do, America did their own giant monster movies and stuff like that. But it's always been a niche as compared to the bigger other stuff. And so right now at this point, it started with Cloverfield. So Cloverfield was like the main catalyst that triggered this whole thing. Then you got Pacific Rim. And then after Pacific Rim, then they were like, okay, Pacific Rim did so good, but now we're going to bring Godzilla. And then Godzilla came, and then Kong, and then so forth. So right now, we're at this great place in the kaiju and in the giant robot community where we're starting to see stuff. Like right now over in the Philippines, they just released Voltus V, which is like a robot that can separate into 5 units. So like Combatra, who was from the Shogun Warriors. But again, they just did a live action over in the Philippines. And I just heard word that they're planning on doing a live action Get a Robo. Like some person over in Japan did like their own crowdfunder where they're trying to raise money to do Get a Robo, which is the Star Avengers that were here, and which they could turn into robots and stuff. And then which I was like, why didn't you while you over there, you should.
Dragon toy I have is from
Star and they should have did another one, a campaign over here. They simultaneously should have had one like here in the West, because there's tons of fans here who would have been out of threw some money at that. And then you had the ones over in the East. But I heard it was successful. So again, you're having all these people starting to do, and plus the technology is advanced. Now you have all these people who are now starting to do this stuff, and that's why, like Kaijus and Cowboys, the potential that it could be something that could be really fun. I mean, me and Matthew have sort of joked about the idea of, how it would be if it was animated or live action or whatever. But the possibilities are so out there. I mean, to see something live action with giant monsters and it's, and things like that, it can be done now. So yeah, I'm excited.
I was acting like a giddy schoolgirl when I found out that they had gone and made a live action Star Blazers movie.
Yes. Yeah. And I watched that. Like I haven't owned it.
It was like the first 25% of the thing. And I'm watching it and I'm getting more and more excited.
Yeah.
Because I'm flashing back and remembering every single episode I would rush home to watch after school.
Yeah, they're playing. You must have heard then that Netflix is doing Gundam. They're doing a live action Gundam on Netflix. And Gamera, they're doing a Gamera animated show that's coming on Netflix as well. So we're right now in the epicenter of a vast storm of just like goodness that's in this genre. And so anyone who's doing it should be like
that. They did that Godzilla, that animated Godzilla.
Yeah, it wasn't great. To me personally, it wasn't that great. I literally love the last. Like I watched it and I love the end credits because that in the end credits they actually like did 2D animation and it looked phenomenal. The rest of the show was kind of CG, that kind of stuff. But whatever the case, I was like, whatever. I'm happy that they did it. So that's where I'm at. Like I can't just hate on something and be like, I hate it, because I know how Hollywood can be. Hollywood is very finicky, and Hollywood could easily be like, nope, we're not going to do this anymore. We'll cut it off. So then what happens? Now, like, what am I going to do? I'd rather be like, okay, you know what? They did this. They put it out there. Let's see what the next thing that comes along. Maybe somebody will come along and they'll do something a little bit more different.
There's a reason
like
why
HBO never finishing Todd McFarlane's animated Spawn.
There's also another very good reason why we didn't have any kaiju media for a very long time after Roland Emmerich's Godzilla movie.
Oh well, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Which is funny. That character, that Godzilla, has now gained more fame. He's become a cult classic. That's the funny irony of it. That they call him Zilla. That character has become a cult classic now because of that movie. Like people are looking back at the movie, going, it wasn't that bad.
It was pretty bad
in the community. But that's what I mean. In the community's like, hey, look, they're starting to bring this character back. So that's the funny thing about the fandom. Fandom shifts and change. One person can say something wasn't good, a new person can come in and be like, no, I like that. So it's kind of, I think that's the fun thing about the fandom. That's why I can't really hate on something, because I go, yeah, but I may have a certain feeling about something, but the other person may have something that's totally different than what I'm experiencing. I'm not gonna hate on that. I ain't gonna throw shade on it.
I mean, I remember back when we were kids, like we take a break from playing ball like early Saturday afternoon. I run down the basement and put on Channel 56 to watch the Creature Double Feature.
Creature Double Feature. That's right. Me too. Got all my chores done. Got to watch it. Oh, got total escapism. It lasted. It was like, I think they did 2 movies, so it was like 4 hours. 4 hours of just like, and you're coming 4 hours after watching like Saturday morning cartoons. So you got Saturday morning cartoons. There's a little break, and then it was like, okay, now you got these movies and stuff, and it's like, oh, pure escapism. You're in this world of just fantastic creatures, monsters, aliens, anything you can think of, robots. Oh, I love it.
Superheroes, because that Saturday morning back in the 70s also gave us the first TV series with Shazam on it. So
yep. Oh, I love that show too. Oh yeah.
I actually
Captain Marvel.
I got to interview Jackson like 2 years ago.
Yep. Got to meet him myself.
And that we just did it like online. But it was just amazing talking to him. And I'm still getting comments on that video. Yeah. It's got like, it's approaching like 10,000 views.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because so many people grew up with him. I grew up watching him. When I had the chance to meet him and stuff, I was like, I was telling myself mentally I wasn't gonna have a fanboy moment, but I did. I was just shaking and stuff. You start freaking out a little bit, and I was like, man, he's Captain Marvel. I'm talking to Captain Marvel, and I drew this. I gave him an original piece of artwork and stuff, and gave it to him, and he was like, "Hi, how you doing? Thank you." And I was like, "Wow, man," But it impacted me because I remember as a kid watching the show.
I didn't.
You didn't watch the show?
Well, I wasn't born then, so
That's right.
It's available on DVD and Blu-ray now. Or if you got HBO, you can just watch it for free.
Yeah.
I was able to, in case he comes around again, plus I wanted it from my own collection, I got to snag one of the big giant treasury editions, the one that's got the photo cover of Jackson in costume.
Yeah, I got that one too.
On the front
He signed it. Yep, I had him sign it.
So I'm just like excited about that. But something else I'm excited about.
What, Kaijus and Cowboys?
That's the one. And I had it up here, and what happened to it? It disappeared on me. But that's okay.
Oh, did we get somebody? Hey, RJ and panel. Hey, what's going on, Lorenzo?
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, man? What's happening? We're talking about Kaijus and Cowboys. And how did two guys come up with a crazy story like this? Well, it all happened 25 years ago.
You're probably wondering how we wound up at this moment.
Yeah, I know.
Freeze frame.
There you go. I know. Let's just create this big, vast, elaborate story and stuff. Like,
yeah.
So
and like, why?
Well,
the question is, I'm sorry, but I hadn't had anyone ask us the question of why would we create? Did somebody ask us that? Why did we create Kaijus and Cowboys?
because Matthew wanted to do a book with you.
I mean,
and he
the
knew
subjects come up every now and then, but
Oh, okay.
yeah,
But
yeah. Basically,
one
that's
thing-
basically it. Like, I was doing I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no. All right. So what happened was I was taking this like online writing course, and the class brought in Brian Michael Bendis as a guest speaker, and he was talking about how, like, whenever he creates a book, there's always a conversation with the artist about, like, what does the artist want to draw? What is the artist really good at? What do they want to draw? What do they like? And, like, you know, he talked about incorporating that into the comic. And I thought that's a good idea. Like, you know, I've been working I've been working with Frankie for like five years at that point. Like, we had been doing our webcomic, The Secret Lives of Villains. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? You know, we've got over 400 strips of this comic done. Let's, you know, take a step back and try doing something else. Hey, I couldn't help but notice that Frankie's a really big kaiju fan. Can't imagine how I figured that one out. And so, you know, hey, let's, you know, make a kaiju story. And then you sent me an email saying, like, you know, you really wanted to do something with, like, a Western. And then I was like, okay. And like, I remember where I was. I was waiting for a bus after work. And I was like, okay, kaijus, Western, cowboys. I mean, you can't really have an actual cowboy fighting a kaiju because that just wouldn't work. But what if the cowboy was a robot?
And I was
like, yes. Well, I mean, my only note to Frankie was that, you know, I want a cowboy who's a robot, and he has a duster made of kaiju skin as he wanders. So, like, you know, you get like, you know, the blowing, you know, the coattails blowing in the wind, that sort of thing. And you wrote back, oh my God, I love this, you know, swear word. And then, like, the rest, as they say, is history. Like, you know, the duster coat was, like, my only artistic note. Everything else is him. Like, the dreadlocks, the face, the whole look and feel of the robot. That's all Frankie. So.
Bwin, the bot with no name. I immediately had it just came to me. Like, I saw three images in my mind, and it was Clint Eastwood, because I was like, Clint Eastwood, the man with no name. And then I was like, Jet Jaguar from Godzilla versus Megalon.
Yep.
And Jack Kirby's Machine Man. And I have to emphasize that, Jack Kirby's Machine Man. Because afterwards, after Jack left, they ended up bringing Steve Ditko on. And, you know, I got love for Steve Ditko, but Jack Kirby's Machine Man was really in you know, right there in my psyche. And I immediately started drawing this character. The face came to me really quick, and then I just said dreadlocks. I had hair, but I wanted to make the dreadlock. I wanted to make his cable dreadlock hair like functional. So I wanted to be like he they actually move. So if you saw Bwin standing there, even if there wasn't a wind, they would slowly be moving, almost like they're coiling, almost like snakes, kind of. You know, just really subtle. That's the way I would visualize it, where it was like very subtle movements. But he actually, you know, he can tap into other robots and stuff like that. He can use them offensively if need be. I mean, there's a lot of potential there, what he can do with them.
And
yeah,
there's one question before I forget it again. I saw the review for the book.
Okay.
From that Aussie gentleman.
Yes.
Oh, Soda and Telepaths. Yeah, great guy.
Yep.
So how did it make you feel when he compared Kaijus and Cowboys to Attack on Titan?
I didn't feel, one of the things I liked about his review though, I liked was that it was very like, what's the word? I thought it was on point. And when he did compare it to Attack on Titans, I don't see it as Attack on Titans. But it was interesting that he saw that as that way. And I mean, I can't control the, how somebody sees something a certain way or whatever. We both know that it is far from Attack on Titan. I think that his comparison on Attack on Titan was based on the fact of the township and that it had a wall.
Yeah, behind the wall. Yeah,
yeah, it had a wall
monster
behind the wall.
bursting through walls. It's like, that makes sense.
Yeah, so to me, I think that he just had this kind of, what's the word, visceral reaction to it. We saw that and he said, "Oh, what's the next thing that's out there that's like that? Oh, Attack on Titans." That's a fair assumption of it. But overall, I loved how he was very poignant on it and stuff, and how he was talking and explaining about it. I thought that was really I was like, wow, that's a pretty fair assessment of it, But yeah,
and
I thought it was a fair assessment.
The tiny thing going up and fighting the giant thing, like that's one of the my favorite sort of like tropes. It's like the big thing looms over the small insignificant humans or creature, and the little one's like, what? Bring it! Come on!
Yeah, I mean,
and so yeah.
No,
I
mean, gonna say like yeah.
Yeah, I sort of lost stopped watching Attack on Titan after like season 1, but like there's
Ooh.
yeah.
Attack on Titan is so, man. I have some of the mangas. I haven't got all the mangas, but I've been watching the movies that have been coming out, and it is so not what I thought it was supposed to be. That's how incredible it is, because you think it's one thing. Because before I'm like, oh, okay, it's okay, I get it, and I was like, it's cool, but then they took it to the next level, and I'm telling you, Matthew, was it last week? Yeah, last week Matthew was talking to me, and he sort of did another overview of where he's taking the story, because it's 12 issues. That's another thing. We're doing a 12-issue series, and he sort of gave me a rundown of where he wants to take it, and Kaijus and Cowboys is not what people think it's going to be, and I love that. I love that, even to the point of, with seeing B-Win as a cowboy and all this stuff. And even though we even call it Kaijus and Cowboys, it's totally different. Once you immerse in it, and once you start reading it, it's a totally different experience than what you think it is, which I love, because that's how books should be in a certain degree, where it's kind of like you think you're going down one avenue and you go, oh, okay, all right, A little detour. And the thing about it is, I think it's going to be a very subtle thing. It's sort of like Attack on Titan in that degree, I suppose, because watching Attack on Titan now, because I'm close to the last movie, they got to release the last movie, and Attack on Titan is just it went a whole other way that I thought it would be. It was just like, oh my god, it's incredible. So I'm if we could even get that close, I'll be a very happy camper. If we can get to that level, I'll be like, all right, we'll take it. But again, the fans will let us know. I think that's what the thing that's exciting me more is just people getting the books. That's what I care the most. Like, people ask, like, oh, looking at the campaign now, and it's not really the money. It's really, I want to see the books in the hands of people.
Yeah, you want to get your story out in front of as many eyes as you can. 100
people. I want 100 people. If anybody out there, I want 100 people out there. I want 100 people to have their hand, and then more than just 100. Next time, 200 people. I want people to just have it in their hands, so that if they have a kid or a niece or nephew or somebody like that, they happen to come across it, they pick it up, they read it. That to me is the joy. That's that wonderful light that I want to, that I feel that I want to get from this experience.
And
as corny as that sounds,
bugging you on social media, I need some back issues. I got like issue 5 gifted to me, and I got to read more. I got to know how this started.
Well, I've already started. I'm starting to get that, because we released some images, and people have gone onto the campaign page, and they've seen certain things like our new stickers, and they go, "Well, who's those characters?" And I'm like, "Well, you got to read it." I've been saying, like, me me and Matt have taken a vow of silence about, until you read it, and then we'll talk about it. So it's a process. You get the book, you read it, and then we can start, sort of telling little things about it and explain a little bit, stuff about it. But I'm getting that already. I'm getting the little DMs like, what's this about? What's going on? Why is this character this way? I had one person who contacted me, and they were asking me. I'm assuming that it was a kid, a young kid, but they were asking me like, when are we giving B-Win a name? And I thought it was the most awesome thing. Like they were just like, yeah, but should he have a name? And I was like, well, that's his name right now, But I thanked them. Again, I said I thank you because that shows that they were interested enough to reach out to contact me about it. And that to me is very humbling. I mean,
yeah,
people don't have to care about it, but they're showing that they do. And so that to me is like, the thing that keeps this fire going.
And speaking of the fire.
The fire. Here we go. Where we at? 53 people. All right.
53 people. You've already passed goal, which is always nice to see.
Yes.
You're sitting at $2,275.
Yes.
With still 20 days to go. It's not too bad.
Still got 20 days.
Yep.
Yes.
That 100 mark, as soon as you hit it, you'd be like, okay, now we got to hit 200.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see, it's 53. I would love to see 100. Like this. Like
that
this
is my favorite
right
image right there.
Yeah, Wilfred.
That's my favorite picture.
I'm telling people, I'm like, I didn't tell him to take that picture. Wilfred is a guy over in the Philippines. He's a he's a sculptor. Like he makes robots. He makes these wooden sculpts, these wooden robots, and he's a massive collector. And he contacted me, DM'd me through Facebook and said, Frank, I got this picture, and he sent the picture to me, and I was like, dude, and yeah, I was blown away. It was a great picture with him just sitting there reading it with this vast collection behind it. And I said, hey man, we're gonna have a campaign coming. Is there any way we could use it and stuff? And he said, sure. And I said, okay, we're gonna credit you, that you're the person in it and stuff. And I thanked them for it. But that right there, that's what I want. I want to see more people, like once they get the books and stuff like that, please take pictures. Please, we got variant covers, blank variant covers. We want to see fan art, all that stuff. That's the whole reason why fandom exists. That's what I want to see.
Send them to me and send them to Frankie. We're both very active on Twitter. Well, fairly active on Twitter.
Yes.
But we check our Twitter accounts on a regular basis.
Yes.
That's probably the best way to do it. But other than that, there's also, Facebook and Instagram. It's so easy to talk to people these days.
Yes.
And yet no one wants to talk anymore.
Yes. Can we just do the whole interview by text? No.
Yeah. No.
I'm not comfortable with talking to people.
No.
Well, I'm sorry. But, and of course, I didn't notice Wilfred at first. I just noticed, I go, oh my God, is that my Mazinga Z from when I was a kid?
And it's so funny because I've had a few people do that, and I'm like, what about the comic that he's reading?
Not now. I'm still trying
I'll
to
crop it so he's more center next time.
No.
and then I told you I started drooling because I saw a grandizer.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. I was like Homer Simpson looking at a donut.
Well, what that picture tells me is that somebody who loves collecting these robots and stuff is reading our book, because that's what our book is about. And that's when I saw that picture, I said, wow, that's the heart of what we're about. Like somebody who truly loves robots and kaijus as well. Like I want to see somebody that's the next level. Find somebody who has a Godzilla collection or Gamera with these monsters, have it right, and take a nice picture with you reading our comic in front of your collection. Because then that says right there that you are a fan. You're a fan of the genre, and that you're enjoying something that now, something that we've done that is now part of that genre.
Well, better yet, have your giant Godzilla toy holding the book.
Better yet. Hey, I love that idea. That's even better. I mean, that what a rush. There he goes, Doc.
So the first thing when I was looking through this campaign that I saw, I go,
Yeah.
oh, gotta add on that patch because I've got the last one.
Yes, you get the Doc patch.
So I'm like, this is just a cool looking robot.
Yeah, and it's funny.
Yep.
The little story.
He's sort of like the audience surrogate of the story. He's like, I originally wanted him to be like the Sam Witwicky, like Transformers and like all these cartoons had like a little snot-nosed brat who was like the one the kids could relate to. But we very quickly decided that the audience surrogate was going to be a little more like grown-up looking, hence the goatee and bowler hat. But yeah, like he's the he's the Luke Skywalker of the comic. Like he's the one that
Holiday.
like
I was gonna say Doc Holliday from Tombstone.
Well, that too.
Yeah,
like that too.
Because is Doc your Huckleberry?
There you go. You know he is. No, but my first thought, it was funny because after we had that conversation, I had just finished watching the Clone Wars. And I saw how R2-D2 was just so capable. And it's so weird because I remember having an R2-D2 like remote control figure when I was a kid. Yeah. And I loved it just because he was a robot. And I wasn't a hardcore Star Wars person, but I loved the droids, I loved the robots because they were robots. So I was like, oh, these are cool. But watching the Clone War and sitting there going, wow, R2 can do a lot of stuff. And then all of a sudden my mind was like, yeah, but Herbie the Robot too was pretty cool. In Fantastic Four, he was capable. And so my thoughts started going on Doc. I was like, Doc should be capable because if he had to repair a robot, say like on a mountain, how would he reach that robot? How would he get to him? He's not built like a hunter bot who's much more tougher because they're built to, fight up against kaijus, but he would be durable enough, to be able to save, like to get into some combat areas to save a robot or whatever, or work on that robot.
Oh yeah.
To get the job done. It's almost like Ratchet, who was in the Transformers. He was like the Transformers medical guy. So he was out there in the battlefield. He would pull out his weapons and be like, okay, I gotta do some harm against those Decepticons. So that's how I started looking at Doc in my mind, where he's this character who may not look like he's capable, but he is very capable.
Yeah, his
flashed to me was the design on the arms,
because
it's
classic,
medical apparatuses, and it's like we've seen these arms obviously on Doc Ock.
Yep, and, there you go. Yeah, the elongated arms, classic. And John Byrne,
Inspector Gadget.
Mm-hmm.
Well, exactly. There are bits in the first issue #1, the one that you can get that sort of remind me of there's that scene in Ghost in the Shell where you have the computer with the fingers.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And that's also part of it. So yeah. So like there's a lot of that. Like I mean, yeah, like Doc is the audience surrogate and like he's capable. Doc's absolutely capable and like he's very good at fixing things, but he's also very much like, he's only, known the only world he's ever known is the world inside his little bubble. And like his bubble gets violently broken when a giant monster just bursts through the wall like it's nothing. Yeah. And then he meets, the hunter who's, quiet, stoic, traveled, who has like a bigger idea of what's going on. And Doc's like, take me with you. And the hunter just is like, okay. He doesn't say that, but like, he just sort of accepts it. And so like, that's how they meet and that's how it all starts out. And then it all just, ramps up and it just keeps going and going and going. And like one of the things I absolutely love about Frankie's artwork, and it's something that I like about comics in general. And like, this is like, the motion, the energy of like, being able to see like, like all this stuff happening and all this stuff going on. And just like I love it when a comic makes me feel exhausted after reading a page. Like if that makes any sense. So like, you know, like seeing like, you know, oh, like, you know, this character comes in and, you know, sweeps the leg, and then another, and then like, you know, you can feel like every punch, you can feel every impact, and it's just like like that.
Yeah,
For someone who
this is the
uses
Bronze Age.
yeah, for someone
This
who
is the
wants to
Bronze
use
Age.
words
Yeah.
for a living, I'm not very good at them at the moment. But yeah,
Yeah,
just
but
like,
you're
you know,
just saying that's what the Bronze Age comics like. When I'm drawing, I'm thinking of, although I love Jack Kirby, but I'm thinking of Herb Trimpe when Herb Trimpe did his work on the Shogun Warriors and on the Godzilla, but then also John Byrne. John Burns runs his artwork for me was, you know, the X-Men, but it was Fantastic Four. In the back of my mind, that's all I even have the books.
That's my
I have some.
favorite run of
Yeah,
FF.
I have a lot. I have the visionary books. I think that's what they're called. And I've been sort of going back looking at how John Byrne laid out his scenes, the energy in those pages. Like when John Byrne would show somebody get punched, it wasn't just like a soft little punch. It was like, you know, bam, and their body's like flying through like buildings and things. And I'm like, that's the kind of level of stuff I want to do because I think it's exciting, it's energizing. I want people to, once they put it down, they're just like, oh my God, what did I just see? You know, it's just like what Matt said, he's exhausted. Yeah, you're like, oh my God.
I remember certain books in the Bronze Age for me. It would take me hours to read a book.
Yeah.
Because I would read the 2 pages or the 1 page if it was going into a commercial break.
Sure.
And I'd read it, and then I would go back and spend hours just staring at the pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
To find out what really happened. I go, okay, I read the words, but what's the page telling me?
Oh yeah, John to me, and trust me, there was a lot of tremendous. I mean, you can Sal Buscema, John Buscema, those people like that. But I mean, for me, John Byrne was so powerful with his artwork because there was a lot of energy. Like he would do these scenes, man, where you're like, oh my God! Like I remember the classic scene where what's the name, Gladiator, when Gladiator picks up the Baxter building, and just the angle of it, like he picks the, you know, you sit there and you go, how would anybody else draw that? But John Byrne, you see the whole view, the perspective of it, and he's lifting it. Or like when the classic scene when Terrax tried to Dr. Doom tried to get the cosmic force or whatever, and he built Terrax a suit.
Power
Terrax
Cosmic.
The Power Cosmic. And Terrax flies to New York, and I know, and he I think he attacks the Thing, and he punches the Thing. And I want to do this scene some way. I'm going to do it. But he punches the Thing, and the way John Byrne decided to show it was from a bird's eye view, like buildings, and you just see the Thing's body going through buildings, like a bunch of buildings. Then he falls, then he changes he cuts to an angle, and you see the Thing falling from an insane height, and he crashes into a car, and that's where he lands. Like he lands right into a car, and it's like, oh my God, like it's mind blowing. The stuff you do. So that's what I'm thinking of when I'm drawing these pages. You know, I'm taking what Matt writes, and then I'm saying, okay, let me see if I can embellish, because that's what I'm doing. I'm just building off of what Matt's laid out.
For me, I think any issue of the Fantastic Four that has Thing fighting Hulk is just true. A tremendous a tremendous fight scene from cover to cover for the most part, you know.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. Comic books are supposed to be about, you know, like their story. Clearly, their story. Clearly, there's stuff we're underneath you're reading it. But at the high point of it, it's about entertaining. You get a comic book, you get entertained. You know, you want to see scenes where characters are engaging whatever obstacle they're up against, and then while they're engaging that obstacle, then there's all these little things in between. You know, these little nuances or whatever that you may learn from certain things or whatever. Subtext, there you go.
Subtext.
Like for me, one of the major scenes for me in the Chris Claremont run on the X-Men, and it's as corny as it sounds, but I love the scenes where Logan and Kurt would just be chilling in the kitchen, you know, having a beer.
Yeah.
As small as that is, you know, it wasn't,
but it was huge.
It was huge. It was a huge thing
because of his character development.
Yes,
on the Claremont years, made them, you know, into, you know, bred a life of their own.
They were like a fam. To me, what I loved about it was like family.
Yeah.
Like the X-Men were a family. Like they were like, and they were like, it's us against this world that hates us, this kind of thing or whatever, and we got to stick together, that kind of mentality. But it was the little things like that, like seeing them just chilling, they're having a moment, and they're just chilling and talking and whatever. I was like, man, that's but then that would switch over to them in the danger room. And then you see the danger room, or some villain burst through the thing or whatever, and it's like, oh, we got to run off. So it wasn't something that lasted long. It was just a panel, maybe a panel or page, and you just see them just, hey Kurt, how you doing? How was the day? And they're just having a beer, and then it's done, and then they move on to other stuff.
Yeah,
it was just a lot better in the book than that time the X-Men appeared on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, Wolverine was Australian.
Yeah.
And all he could do was offer people a piece of fruit.
Yeah.
On the end of his claw.
They tried. I remember the X-Men cartoon too. There was another one that they released. It was really good. The artwork was insane. I don't think they've ever released it like on DVD or Blu-ray, but there was it was called the something Pride, the Pride of the X-Men.
Oh, Kitty Pryde and the X-Men.
Well, yeah, but it was called Pride of the X-Men. That was the name of the animated. It was like a pilot. It was like a pilot that they put out, and it was called Pride of the X-Men. And I guess you might be able to find it on YouTube, but it was really amazing. Like the artwork was incredible. I mean, and it was definitely not Sunbow, I think, the animation house. But it was definitely like you could tell it was from Asia, the Asian market kind of design and stuff like that. But it was really well done, and they only did like one episode. Well, it was a pilot, and that was it. And that's unfortunate because I think they also had Jubilee in it too. I think no, it wasn't. No, Jubilee wasn't in it. Sorry, it was just Kitty. I
remember there was a Star Wars animated clip going around, and it looked a lot like Robotech Star Blazers.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yep.
And I'm like, and I saw it again the other day, and I reposted. I'm like, this is the Star Wars we need.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It was actually, again, it was a Japanese take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this scene right here, like the one where I did the die cut of the planet, the die cut of the planet to sort of go, because I was trying to find a way, and again, it's an old technique for a lot of books back then where you just kind of you want to immediately go right into the planet, like the way these robots are. So I wanted to show people that you have this arc that's hovering above the planet, but then all of a sudden it's like a cutaway where it's like, boom, now we're on this planet with these robots and stuff who are building this township. And of course, a lot of people are loving the fact that I'm bringing back the whole thing of the special effects. Like I'm not a letterer, but I love doing the special effects, sound effects, because they're part of the art, and that's how they used to be back then.
Yeah, that it was. What's interesting is that like when we coordinate on the artwork, what happens is I'll write a script, and like I like to describe it as sort of like the Marvel method, but enhanced.
Yes.
Like I'll send a script into Frankie, and Frankie will read it, and then like there are moments in the script, there are moments in the artwork that don't match up to the script, and so like Frankie puts like his own spin on it and then sends it back to me, and then I'll take a look at it and I'll make edits as necessary to the script before I send it off to Mike Stock, who's the letterer. And like 99.9% of the time, it actually makes it better. So it's like, it going back to like, Stan Lee and Kirby, it's like, that's how they operated. Like Kirby, like Lee would give Kirby a broad outline of what they wanted to do, and then Kirby would take that and just like craft this amazing comic book out of it, and then Lee would add the words in later. I think the famous story goes is that like when they were coming up with the Galactus arc, Lee and Kirby were hanging out in the Marvel offices. Lee was hammered drunk, because that's what you did back then. And they were talking about, what are we going to do next with the Fantastic Four? And then Lee was like, I don't know, have them fight God. And then out of that, Kirby created Galactus. So like, there's a bit of that going on. Not to toot our own respective horns, but like very much a joint venture, and it's very much a conversation.
Yeah. Well, also I tend to write a lot of notes. So if I draw something, then I end up sending Matthew like this big thing that like literally the page notes of why I did what I did, so that he can see it. So it's not like it's something coming out of like, it's like, oh wow, this is really weird or whatever and such and such. It's like, oh yeah, but this is the reason why I did this and such, and so it gives him a sense, because I want him to have an understanding of what my thinking was behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and these are all pages.
And like,
from the first
I mean,
issue.
like,
yes, these are all pages from the first issue.
Yes, they are. And then if you keep scrolling down, there's a couple more pages from the second issue as well. But like, we're not spoiling anything. We're not spoiling a whole lot.
And also another good thing to people out there that are watching and listening.
But yeah,
I would say that our books are.
This was my favorite.
Yeah. That the thing about it is that in the most cases, I know a lot of people are fearful of these crowdfunding campaigns because they're like, well, you guys are just creating a few pages, and then where's the rest of the book? It's going to take 2 years, 3 years to get it. No, these books are already done. It's right now. I think the lettering, like we're close to wrapping up the lettering. No.
Yes.
Oh
yeah, no. The lettering for issue 2 is all set.
Okay,
that was done a couple weeks ago. We have the artwork for issue 6 all done as well.
Wow.
And I'm putting the finishing touches on the script for issue 7. Like I have like 3 more pages left of that. So it's like that is a huge pet peeve of this amazing book. You put it on Kickstarter, and like, it raises all this money, and then nothing. It's crickets for like 6 months to a year, and you'll get an update if you're lucky.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, that's it's bad
good.
Business. It's it's disrespectful to the customers, and so we're not doing that. So, and it's like. I don't remember who I was talking to at a convention, but like we were talking about crowdfunding, and like he said, no, you're not raising money to make the book. You're raising money to recoup the costs cost of making the book, because the book's already made.
Yeah.
So yeah, issue 1 and issue 2, they're all set. They're always click print. Like the second the money hits your bank account, like we've got it. So like you're gonna get the rewards in a reasonable time frame.
Yeah.
The only wild card is how long it takes to ship everything.
Yeah. Our track record has been pretty good. What we've been mostly like a month. It takes like after the campaign is ended, we've been able to get stuff out, like fulfillment. Well, after I've done commissions,
like a couple months.
Like 2? It's like 2 months, 2, 3, or less.
Yeah, so that sounds right. We're talking a matter of months instead of a matter of years.
Like the last issue, I got mine in like 5-6 weeks, because you were
it wasn't long.
You were still doing cards.
Yeah.
Plus like bigger commissions and stuff. So.
Yeah. Because I mean for the people who didn't get commissions, of course, their stuff's gonna get out really quick. Mm-hmm. But again, you think about that number though. You're looking at a range of like a few weeks to whatever. Even if it was to go like 2 months or 3 months, that's still pretty reasonable in that time, knowing that you're gonna get your stuff in a pretty reasonable time. So yeah.
Of course,
we pride ourselves.
Also have a bit of a time schedule, because we're going to be launching another crowdfunding campaign within this year as well. So it's like, no rest for the wicked, as it were.
Yeah.
It's like, congratulations, here's issue 1 and 2. Now here's the Kickstarter for issue 3.
Well, we figured we already had the artwork for issue 6 already done. We might as well throw another book in there this year too.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
Yep.
you know how it is. Back in the day, comic books were based on volume. You know,
Yeah.
that was the success of the books. You know, back in the olden days, where it was like they were trying to get as many books out. That's why they pumped out so much stuff: romance novels, horror, sci-fi, anything they could. And they would just like, I remember books come out monthly. You know, monthly comic books where they just like pumping out because it's a volume game. That's how you build your audience. That's how you build the fandom. You know, you get people addicted to it, like a soap opera. You start looking at it, and people want to buy more and more, and they go, okay. You know, it's really tough if you're only putting out, you know, 1 and 2 or whatever a certain amount of time. So if you're doing that way, then you got to stay consistent. You got to make sure that people know, okay, you're going to have it out by this time, say in the springtime. Then I know the next one's going to come in the fall time, you know, that kind of thing. It definitely has changed the way the market has.
Yeah, I think
the way it is.
As far as like indie comics, like, you know, Kaijus and Cowboys.
Yes.
I would say
like that
the goal would probably be to at some point get up to like basically putting it out as a quarterly.
It's a good idea.
Well, I mean, we initially started as a bi-monthly. Like that was the initial plan back. We did after we conceived the series, we were approached by a publisher, Second Sight, and it was a pretty good working relationship we had with them, but unfortunately it didn't work out. Like they wanted to take their publishing line in a different direction from ours, and so it's like, you know, we just, you know, we all mutually decided to part ways, and like it was great, and like, you know, Second Sight is a great company and you guys should check it out, but like, you know, we were like, you know, we have all this stuff because like, you know, we like 2022, like we were like pedal to the metal, go. We have like, if we're going to do this bi-monthly, we have to get like, you know, a certain number. It's like we're going to be releasing these books bi-monthly and it takes a certain amount of time to get each book done. So we have to make sure we have a certain number of books done in order to meet the schedule and get the artwork in. And so and like when that sort of fell apart, it was like, you know, okay, we have all this stuff, so let's, you know, start, you know, doing this. And I think like, what are we planning to do? Two Kickstarters a year?
Well, yeah. I think the thing about it is that we had a talk because I think one of the problems that I see for many people trying to do this kind of stuff is that there's a level of whether or not you're trying to do it to put out quality work or you're just trying to put something out. And I think there's a lot of indie books that unfortunately they hurt because people are trying to rush stuff out. They're just rushing. And we've seen it. I've bought books that the writing wasn't as strong and the artwork was just horrendous. It was just horrendous artwork where it needed the time, it needed to flourish. And so the thing was for me is that production time is so important. It's almost like if you look at movies, you look at TV shows, everything has a production time. And I mean, it's not just 1 month or 2 months. It could be 6 months to a year that they'll be working on a project just to be like, okay, this thing has to be right. That means that, oh, God bless you. That means that we have to make sure that everything is tight. Everybody feels good about it. It looks good. And now we can put it out there, you know? And so for me, that was my main agenda. I didn't want to put out something that was going to be just shoddy. That was going to be like, you just put it out, you're asking people for money, and you're sitting there going, yeah, you know what? I only gave 50% because that's what 50% looks like. 50% looks like something that's just hobbled together. To me, I didn't want to do that. What's the point of even doing anything like that? So the key thing is that if you put out quality, then people will be reasonable. You know, I've seen great books where people have said, okay, we'll wait a little bit for it. The thing is that you don't want it to be unrealistic. You don't want the wait time to be so unrealistic where it's just years. But you give you know, because again, look at the books that are coming from the mainstream or from the second stream. Stuff come from Scout, stuff's coming from Boom Studios, stuff coming from Image and whatever. That doesn't look like they're just hashing. Most of those books that they're doing, they're done months, if not a year in advance. So one team is working a year in advance to put something out that you just get at a certain time, you know. So the thing about it is that if they're doing that, then the indie comic book has to do that level as well. They have to have some kind of production level like that. So you're pulling out solid quality work.
Yeah.
Prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
Yes. Yes.
But the thing that I look at from like a reader's perspective and a collector's perspective is we're so used to being able to go to the comic shop every week, pick up, our small to ridiculous amount of comics.
Sure.
And so we're in the monthly thing, and then we switch over and start grabbing indie comics that are like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But you also got to keep pushing your online presence for the book and everything else, because even if the book isn't forgettable and it's very memorable, if you're waiting like a year or so in between issues, you might have forgotten about it and moved on to something else. Yeah,
that's rough. That's a rough one. I don't know how anyone could do that. Like those years, when you start getting the years, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are there's a lot of people that do like you guys that don't even start a campaign on Kickstarter until basically the whole book's in the can.
Yeah.
I know like 3 or 4 creators right off the top of my head. I know Silverline won't start a campaign until the book's already done and in the can, and they decide how they're gonna do it. It's like it's all set. All I gotta do is hit enter to the publisher, to the printer rather, and be like, okay, I need like 10,000 copies.
That's the last thing you want to have to deal with is like working on a comic, like during the campaign, and don't have all your pages and everything set, and then all of a sudden, just life. Let's just say life situations come into effect, where like the artist, all of a sudden, the artist goes, "Hey man, I'm sick," or something happened, or whatever. You don't want to have to deal with those things that start creeping in just after you got the money, and now people are expecting something from you. You don't want to be at the other end of that, where all of a sudden there's life issues that get in there, So, no, I think we're on a good path and stuff with this, and what's making it more exciting is that I'm starting to see more people that are starting to do the similar thing too. So if we can all keep doing this, then I think we're going to do pretty good. I think everyone's going to be able to sort of excel with this new sort of revolution that's happening in the indie market.
Yeah. What I did want to mention is one of the creative teams that I found to be excellent at keeping in touch with their fan base is Matt and Steph from Insymmetry.
Insymmetry. What book do they do?
They do a few books. They've started books that have actually launched in a Scout magazine.
Okay.
And then they've actually continued that in like floppy form afterwards.
Oh, nice.
Because Scout was putting out like a kids format, young adult format, kind of like a highlights magazine.
Sure.
Like that size and page count.
Sure.
With different activities in it and, stories. Mm-hmm. A complete issue or two in the magazine format.
Oh, wow.
To introduce the characters. And if they went over well and they got a good response from people, then they would move forward with actually turning that strip into
that's smart.
Into a floppy, which
so sort of like a Weekly Shonen Jump thing, which yeah.
Wow.
That's what I really like about manga. It's they have the ecosystem and the mechanics all set up to like not necessarily help like beginners thrive, but to give beginners a chance. Because it's like, you want to create manga for a living. Like, you start off, you usually write and draw it in like your room, like while you're living with your parents and you're going through tremendous burnout. But like, if you're good enough and if you're determined enough, you can like, get into a magazine and like, once, you get into the magazine, maybe you catch on a little bit. So then you go to series and then like, if that catches on, you get a anime and, if that catches on, they bring it over to the US. And, hopefully by then you haven't, killed yourself from overwork, but, it's there. It's there. And like, my biggest critique of like, you know, the Western comics genre is like we don't really have that, or like we haven't had that for a very long time, and it's like, you know, there's no real there wasn't really an outlet for like people who are just starting out who want to make comic books to help start building an audience and get out there. Like there's Kickstarter, there's crowdfunding, that's it now, but it's like, you know, there's no Weekly Shonen Jump. There's no comic book minor leagues where you can, like, you know, practice and build. And like,
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that, minor leagues.
Yeah,
that's good.
And like that's
a good one.
Like my biggest pet peeve with like a lot of creators today, like especially with comic book writers, is that like, you know, yes, I understand that, like, you know, in order to get the attention from, like, you know, the big two or Image, like, yeah, you do need to have an audience and you should, like, you know, be established. But at the same time, it's like you look at the biographies of a lot of these writers, and it's like, you know, oh, they wrote novels, oh, they wrote plays, oh, they, you know, were journalists. It's like, okay, that's good. Where are the comic book writers? Because, like, you know, writing a comic book and writing a novel are not the same thing, no matter what people say.
Or screenplay. There's a lot of screenplay folks. So yeah, I know that's what most of these publishers are looking for, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They're looking. That's why I said that. I told Matt. I said, Matt, I think the thing is that many of these big studios have their eyes. They have their eyes on a lot of these campaigns. They're watching. They're trying to see which one's going to be the one or whatever. You know.
I've seen some Kickstarter books like show up on Image, but it's like, and like I was doing a editorial internship at Dark Horse. I did that like 4 years ago, and I was talking to one of the associate editors, like, you know, great guy, and like, you know, great conversation. And it's a great company that makes good stuff, but it's like, yeah, you know, you really have to have your own audience before you can start, like, you know, really, you know, before Dark Horse will show some interest. And it's like, what are you for?
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of having a publisher? It's like, you know, like, you know, the publisher should allow a creator to be creative, but at the same time help them. It's like, you know, that, like, I mean, it
hasn't been like that. That's the thing. It hasn't been like that for years, and I don't see it ever really going back, because I think the thing is that's honestly what they want. They want people. They want you to have your own. They want to see if you can go out there and sell what you've created. So you're a salesman. You're the creator, but then also you're the salesman. You know, they want, because here's the thing. Their thing is that they want to make money. So we're all in agreement. This is about making money. And so the thing is that they're looking, going, okay, well, there's a lot of people out there that have comic books, right? But these comic books are going to be able to pull in some kind of revenue? Because if it doesn't, then what's the point of having that comic book? I get it. There's a part of me that I understand it, but, you know, it is. I understand where you're coming from too, because you would imagine. But see, that was the old days. That was the old days of, you know, before. And I'm saying like mid 90s, let's say that mid 90s, because the change started coming during that time. But it was, you know, where you know, publishers were like, hey, we want to, you know, we'll bring you aboard. The publishers had more clout. Marvel and them had more clout and stuff, and they were able to. They were in stores. They had spinner racks. They had everything. You know, income. They were able to get a lot more stuff. But now that's gone. That's gone. Those days are gone.
Also Jim Lee and Todd on the drawing board. So.
Well, that's the thing. What was really sad is that then you probably know of that story where Herb Trimpe, when he tried to, and which is so sad, like many of these great artists who helped build a lot of stuff there. Herb Trimpe, I guess they tried to bring him back to do a couple of stories and stuff. I think he did some Transformers stuff or whatever. But I think they were telling him to sort of emulate other artists.
Oh,
so I remember there was a famous letter that was put out. I forgot who wrote it, or I don't know if he wrote it, but it was just them talking about how somebody as great as he is, and he had to try, and he was having a hard time getting work, and they were asking him to draw like somebody else, to emulate another art style.
Whoever like the next superstar was, say it was Jim. It's like, well, we want you to do the book, but we want you to draw
exactly
like Jim draws. He goes, no, one. If you're a fan of Herb and you're buying a Herb book, you're gonna be like, why does this look like a second-rate Jim Lee?
Exactly.
Oh, because they're making him draw like that.
How sad is that?
Yeah,
but see, that's the bad decisions like that. Just horrible decision. That's why when people talk about manga, they go, "Oh man, manga's great." I'm like, "Well, manga didn't do anything. Manga kept their formula the same way. It was the same recipe." They were like, "Hey," they looked at American and was like, "What are you guys doing? You're changing your books. You're pricing out your books so that the main audience, which are kids, can't afford them anymore. It's a speculative market. You know, you're destroying that aspect of it. And now, guess what's going to happen? Gaming said, okay, comics, you left a big massive hole here. We'll come in and bring games. So what did the kids in the Western markets have to go to? They had to look at games, and then also they start seeing this wonderful thing called manga, which never changed the formula. Manga never changed. They're still functioning from the formula that they had way back when. You know?
Yeah.
Newsprint, cheap.
It's black and white interiors.
Yeah.
Full color cover wraparound.
Yep.
And you're looking at like, even though, you know, it's in a smaller format.
Yeah.
And so the artwork is going to look even tighter because when you shrink it down, you know, you get like a better encapsulation of the pictures. And
they pump out a lot of stuff. They technically are doing how the Western market did back in the 60s and 70s, where Marvel was putting out like war books, romance novels, horror. They were putting out a ton of different stuff. That's what that shonen and all that stuff is. They put out all kind of different manga. Any kind you want, anything you want.
For any subject you can think of.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Cooking shows, fishing, you know, anything. But you're looking at $10 for a 100-page book.
Yeah.
Or you're looking at $7 for a 20-page book.
Yeah.
You're gonna go for the more bang for your buck. I mean, a few months ago there was a store that I bought like a few things off of online, and they were having a sale, and I just happened to catch the stream, and I spotted the 2 fake red leather hardcovers of classic Captain Harlock.
Okay.
So I got like the first 2 volumes of that for like, with shipping, cost me like $35.
Okay.
So it was basically a buy one, get one free because they're like $25 hardcover books.
Wow.
And I'm like, it's like, you know, 140, 150 pages. You know, for $20, that's like a year's worth of, you know, floppies from Marvel or DC.
Now I'm curious because now, do you think that $7 is too much for a 22-page comic?
I think $7 is too much for a 22-page comic from big mainstream publishers.
Okay, but from the indie market, from someone from indie, you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. I mean, the big 2 have numbers, the numbers game on them. Like, I mean, like,
they're legacies. They got the legacy IPs. So yeah.
Well, they also have the backings of like 2 of the largest entertainment corporations on the face of the planet, and also couple that with the fact that, like, you know, when a comic book store wants to buy, you know, a Batman comic, like they have, the Diamond has like rewards for buying in bulk. It's like, you know, buy 20 copies of Detective Comics, you can get the special comic book store variant cover for free, or stuff like that. And like, I mean, like you really like it. I mean, I wasn't into comics during the time, but like, you know, 1986 happens, and you have like, you know, The Dark Knight Returns, and you have Watchmen, and like, the comics start to shift from being, you know, something that, you know, a kid would beg their mom to buy off a spinner rack, and something that was like a collectible. It was something like, you know, special. So, you know, you would pay attention to like, you know, nicer paper, you know, like deluxe editions with like, you know, hardcover or like, or leather bound stuff. Trade paperbacks were huge, and like, it was successful, but then, like, you know, 1992 happened, and then Image was founded, and then all of a sudden it became, and then, like, you know, couple that with the fact that you started having, you know, people, you know, you'd have like news stories where like, the first appearance of Spider-Man was selling for like, $100,000.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, these aren't books anymore. These are investments. And like, if you study, there's this great documentary called like The Rise and Fall of a Comic Book Empire. You can find it on YouTube. It's free. And it talks about like what was happening in the comic book industry from like 1989 up until when did Marvel Knights come out? Like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And like it talked about like, Valiant, which is my favorite publisher. Like, they're coming out with some awesome stuff. And like they're kind of like, they're back now. Like, they're doing a very limited like release schedule of books, but like the books are fantastic.
Right.
And then like, you have like Image where like, it wasn't, you're not buying a Spawn comic because the story is engaging. You're buying it because it's Todd McFarlane who had this awesome Spider-Man run. Like all due respect to Mr. McFarlane, Torment was unreadable. Sorry, gonna say that. And so Torment. Like, couple that. Yeah.
The first storyline.
Oh, okay.
Was the first issue of his own. You're so popular. We're gonna your own Spider-Man book.
And it's still sold. And they had like 50 variant covers, and it's like and like the like you would wait for like Thor number 100, and like issue number 100 would sell better than issue would sell like hundreds of thousands of copies and be like sell better than issue 99, but issue 101 would sell less than issue 99. So it was just the era of like gimmicks and like
the speculative market.
It was. And now that's where we're living now, is the speculative market, because there's so many YouTube people with like millions of followers.
Yep.
That are just looking to see what's the next book I should be buying for an investment.
See, I don't like that. I mean, like,
now
the funny thing is like the reason why those books were so valuable is because that's not like the reason why all those Golden Age and Silver Age books are so valuable is because they were not viewed as collector's items. Like you didn't buy a Superman comic thinking it was going to be worth $10,000 in the future. You bought it and you threw it away, and like you tore the pages out, and like you kept it in your back, rolled it up and kept it in your back pocket.
Yep.
Like,
but it was also based on the fans. See, again, what drove the value of anything is fans. Fans drive it because they're the ones who will define whether or not something's going to be of such rarity, because they're going to buy it. They're going to be the rarity of it. They'll be like, oh man, I gotta have it. Like I don't know, say Star Trek. What makes a phaser so unique? You get the, oh my god, I got the Captain Kirk phaser or whatever. That's all because of the fan. How much the fans want it, how much somebody wants it, the bills, the need to have it. But you got to have a bunch of people, a lot of people behind it, to build up that sort of, whatever collectible magic about it, and they destroyed it. They obliterated it.
And we're living in the shadow of that to this very day. Like we still haven't recovered from it. It's like, the two worst things to happen to comic books were the comic code and the speculator market of the 90s, the speculator bubble of the 90s. And it's like,
but here's
what do we do now?
Well, here's the thing, though. I think we are doing it. I think one of the things about it, when I think about, say, like for us right now, I look at our campaign, and we got 53 people on it. Think about that, 53 people that are on it. And in my mind, I'm always going back I try to imagine how Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman must have been when they first did Ninja Turtles. How many people did they get? I don't think that they got like 1,000 people or hundreds of people or whatever. They were trying to push this concept, this idea called the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was so different, so unique in how it looked and whatever, to people who would see it, and they didn't even have the internet. They would just go on to shows and whatever. So in my mind, that's how I'm thinking. I try to keep my mind that thought. I go, well, Frank, you have to start somewhere, and it has to be sometimes even a gradual thing. It's like almost a drip. You know, because I think one of the things about it is that all of us, we all have to sort of get out the mentality of the microwave. You know, for some people, yes, it's going to happen quicker, whatever the reason. Now, will they last? We'll have to let the time tell the tale. But my feeling is that eventually, if you stick at it, it will build, and it's a gradual build. And you know what? I'd rather take that gradual build more so than the microwave effect, because at least with the gradual build, then I can say, yeah, this came from someone. This felt something. Like, Peter, Larry, and Kevin, they sit there and be like, well, yeah, look, we started from this, and look where it went. Look at the journey. Look at the story that we have right here. From the point when two guys sitting there drawing these characters that were whatever, that weren't superheroes in the context of what superheroes were, and then to the point where then it became an animated series, and then it went further and further from there. So I'm a person all for the journey, and I think that there are people that are out there now. I don't know how many are out there, but I do feel like that feeling and mentality is slowly growing. I don't think it's something that's that's gone and stuff, because you're seeing a lot more people doing it, and I'm starting to see more people starting to put more quality stuff out too, and that's the most important thing. We gotta put. I don't care what your style is or your style of writing or whatever, but it's gotta be quality. That's all. The best
Also,
thing you can put out.
It's been almost 20 minutes, but hi, Hex Island Comics. Apologies for the delay.
Oh, hello. Yeah, sorry
nice,
about that.
Nice for the comment. I mean, we're passionate. We like to talk, and like we like to ramble on.
Hey,
so
what's going on? Thank you for coming, by the way.
Yes, and yeah. So but yeah, like it's. I was gonna say something. Crap.
Well, we got stickers. We got stickers.
Oh yes, yeah. We got stickers. I mean, like the stance we have on merch is like, because like what I like to do is, I have in my room I have just like a pile of Mylar bags and boards, and set and ready to go. And what I like to do is like I like rewards that you can stick in the back of the bag, just to like, because it just makes transportation so much easier. Because like, I mean, there's like bulky stuff like t-shirts. I mean, t-shirts and all that stuff. It's like shipping becomes difficult and becomes
but then
hard.
Also, but then also, what is the campaign about? It's about a comic book.
Yeah, that too.
It's not about t-shirts. It's not about that's the thing that throws me sometimes with some of these campaigns, because I begin to lose sight. I'm like, well, what is this campaign for? I'm seeing all these other different accessories, and I'm like, but isn't this for a comic book?
Yeah,
and that gets lost. And I'm like, no. I want people to come in for the comic book. The add-ons are just that. They're just little accessories and stuff that it's nice if you get them. I mean, we want you. If you want to get a commission from me, that's great. But ideally, I want people to get the comic book. I want you to get the comic book in your hand. I want you to read it. And I want you to come along on a journey with us. That's the key thing. Yeah,
and I like. I mean, it. So the way we basically agreed on the price is $5 digital if that's your thing, and $10 physical, which includes a healthy portion of the printing and shipping costs. Like I said, the shipping's the hardest thing, because it costs, like, we live in a fantastic time where it is so easy to get something out there and get like attention to it that anyone can do it. Because like I think the per cost the cost of printing for each book is like $2, like it's under $2.50 a copy for us for like full color. And like, if you went back like 40-50 years, that would have been borderline impossible to see this level of quality for that lower price.
It would have been
and like
$2,500.
Yeah.
For 100 copies.
Yeah, and like now I can get like 100 copies for like $200 to $400. Like it's so easy, we can do it. That's the amazing thing about like all these wonderful things that we've built and created. The bad thing is that it's so easy, everyone can do it. So
this is like a gold rush right now. It's a gold rush for comic books.
My hot take that I get a lot of pushback on goes, it's a great time if you're talented and want to make a comic book, go make a comic book. Because right now, anybody can make a comic book.
Yeah.
But not everybody should be making a comic book.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be the key thing. Differentiating what is the ones that can really be, a solid one where you can read it and go, yeah, it's a solid book. Whatever the case is, a solid book. Because that's what I look for. I'm always looking for stuff where I'm like, is this a good solid read? Then cool. Then I feel great. I don't want to pick up a book and then spend money for it, and then be like, oh man, why did I do this? Because I unfortunately I've kind of felt that a few times. I've chilled off. I've had to chill off on getting some books and stuff just because of that. Because I'm like, I don't want to be going through that. Because another thing too, it gets costly.
Yes, it is an expensive hobby, and I think it was a pretty expensive hobby back then too, but just in a different way, I guess. But I mean,
25 cents for I remember getting comic books for 25 cents.
Yep.
Yes, but this was also a time when a loaf of bread cost a dime. So
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like I could take $5 and get like a ton of books, like whatever, and then still have change over. Because again, the biggest thing was that they were done on newsprint and they were cheap. It was just like you get a comic book, you can fold it up in your back pocket, you can carry it anywhere you want. Anybody could get it anywhere. If it was in store or something, spinner rack. And then the 90s came around and somebody said, let's flip the switch. And there you go.
Yeah.
And then somebody showed up one day with something called Baxter paper.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, why is this so expensive?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's the new Teen Titans with Wolfman and Perez, and it's awesome, but why? Can we go back to newsprint and 30 ads in a book or something?
I always go back to it. Comic books is always based on volume. It was about how many people you can get to buy these books. And as soon as they started destroying that aspect of it, that was the end. You cut out a massive chunk of people who are supposed to be buying those books, which was the young folks. The young folks who are supposed to be getting the books.
Yeah. When you outprice them, what they were left with, if there was a comic shop in their area, was looking, back in the 80s and 90s, they were looking for the 25 cent and the 50 cent and the $1 boxes so they could get 1 to 2 to 3 books.
Yeah.
And do that.
Most of the young folks that bought manga back then, now they're in their 20s, maybe 30s. They're still buying manga.
Yep.
They still like it. That's the whole thing about comic books. It's a generational kind of thing. It's a constant, you just keep the system going. It's like I bought comic books when I was a kid. Then I grew up as an adult and I still bought comic books to a certain degree. That's how it's supposed to be. You keep buying it. But what happened was when that whole change, the speculative market came, I stopped comic books. I was like, I'm done. I was like, I'm not getting any more of this stuff. This stuff is insane. And then off and on, I would buy stuff off and on, but then it changed. I started buying just trades. I got out of getting floppies. It messed everything up.
Yeah. Well, I remember when they had the big price changes in the 90s, which are nothing compared to the 2000s price changes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
By leaps and bounds. But when the books went from 75 cents to $1 and $1.25.
Yep.
I noticed people dropping off, and then Marvel and DC were wondering, well, last month we sold 10 million copies of Avengers and Uncanny X-Men. What's going on? Because, well, you outpriced your source.
Yeah,
your
Greed,
source is
man.
This, and it was the comic shops that built them up. People started opening more and more comic shops. A bunch failed, a bunch succeeded.
Yeah.
And nowadays, they're trying. It seems like especially Marvel and DC are trying to bury the comic shops to get everything, direct. And I'm like, that's not going to work. People aren't going to want all their books mail order, because when Marvel and DC send you books mail order now, they're folded up into 5 or 6 pieces crunched up because they're just jamming them in your mailbox.
Yeah,
they're not putting them in
like mailers. Yeah, like mailers.
Well, incidentally, when you order a book from us, we have the Gemini cardboard boxes, and I have tried I put them through a bit of a stress test personally to just see how durable they were. And it's, there's no bending here. And also like, we have them bagged, we have them boarded, we have them wrapped up in the mailers, and we have like several pieces of tape securing it. So that's not going to be a problem with us. But,
most definitely.
But yeah, I mean, like also like I know that the present company is going to sort of chafe at the bit when I say this, but I mean, I like digital. I like the digital comics. Like, I mean, Comixology has really screwed it. Like, Amazon has screwed Comixology over big time. But like, I just like the idea of like, going on a bus, sitting down, taking my phone out, and it's like, the panel by panel view. It's just, like you can look at the whole page if you want to see it, but then like, you just double tap and then you can just see panel by panel. Like, I like that. And like, if I had an iPad, like, you can see the whole thing in, glorious HD color. And yes, like I said, Amazon has, decided to kill it because they're trying to like incorporate it with the Kindle or something like that. But there are, the great thing about, this world we live in is that, there are other people who are willing to rise up and take over, which brings me to global comics, which is something that Frankie and I have also talked about. And we're also like, the Kickstarter is first, but we're going to start like putting the books up on global comics as well to read and purchase, because like like you were saying, like you kept getting messages of people asking you like where they can find the rest of the books.
Oh yeah, a lot of that last year. Lot of those questions, because people were just, because again they see something like that and they're just like, man, we want more and more, of course. But again, we didn't have a landing page. We didn't have a page where people can just go to get it. And web pages cost a ton of money. And so we were going back and forth about it. And then all of a sudden, Global Comics comes out of the mix. And they've just been really like amping up. Like they've really been doing some great stuff. Again, I look at, there's a part of me where I'm just more business. Like my mind just goes, okay, business. And if someone wants to read digital, I'm not going to stop them. I'd rather have something that's digital. I'm more of a traditionalist. I tend to like the tactile feel of having something in my hand and whatever. But I'm not gonna say no to somebody who wants to also get digital. Of course not. That's just bad business. So we're looking at global comics as being as an option for us. We think it's a smart option. We think it's something that a great place that's gonna be able to give us some more exposure, hopefully. And also we'll be able to reach out to other people as well. So that's the other thing that we're doing.
Expanding the audience that way, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think,
And then God damn it. I say like, I prefer digital, but like I do both. Like, I still have my box at my favorite comic book store. And like, it's a little bit of both. Cause like, I mean, digital, it's like, it's there, it's convenient, it's it's easy to read it, but at the same time with like a comic book store, it's like you go in, you see things like there are other people around with similar interests that you can start talking to, and it's like it's like, yes, you can drink at home, but you could also go out to a bar as well, like that's kind of what that's like. It's like what, so there's both, there's room for everything.
Both. Because I'm not a fan of digital, but I do a lot of digital because I do reviews.
Sure.
Give my hot takes. It's like this book, blah blah, coming out from blah blah blah. Here's a couple of pages. I'm staying away from this one, but be your own judge.
Yeah.
But the plus side is, you can use a search bar and bring up a book, opposed to, my God, how many boxes do I have to go through to find this issue?
Yeah,
exactly.
And like the DC app, like it's like if you liked this, then check this out, or like you like the one thing I don't like about modern superhero comics more than anything else is that like, you read Action Comics #1 and it sets up this, massive event and it's like, oh, that sounds so cool and then it's like to be continued in Supergirl #27 and like here's a checklist of all the books you have to do and it's like
the cross promotion
it's
thing,
like
yeah.
Marvel
I get it.
doing that.
Yeah.
DC did it a lot too, but Marvel was like, okay, we're going to have 6 Spider-Man titles, and this story is going to go across all of them.
Oh, God.
Plus 2 single-shot issues.
I'm saying, right, my whole feeling on everything that Marvel and DC is doing is honestly, the truth is that, and I'm calling it right here, is that I think that in a couple of more years, you're going to see they may be closing their doors. I think Marvel might be. And I think that eventually they're going to become like an IP farm. Like they literally just going to farm out their IPs to various places. They're kind of doing it right now. I mean, IDW is doing some Marvel stuff, aren't they? Right?
I think so.
IDW prints like all their like big books, like hardcover ones.
Yeah.
Like all those gorgeous artist editions.
Yeah. I just think that
and the Claremont stuff and everything.
You're seeing people corporations. So Disney's a corporation, and think about it. You're sitting there and you got these people who all they understand is business, and in their mind they're sitting there going, all right. So you got this place in New York. I think Marvel's still in New York, and they sit there and they go, well, how much are we paying for the rent? How much is it cost whatever to keep the lights on? We got all these people there. Okay, how much is that? Okay, how many books are they really like? They're selling out like their numbers, and they're gonna go, you know what? We could probably save a lot more money if we didn't have this location, we didn't have these offices, and if we could just farm those babies, those IPs. We got all these IPs. We can just send them off to somebody else. And then they pay us for the licensing fee. And I get that feeling. I got a feeling that that's going to be the way it's going to go.
Conan.
Yeah, I think it's slowly coming. It's slowly like they're slowly peppering it. Like you're starting to see it. So people aren't really seeing. Like people are seeing something. They go, oh my, but they're not seeing that the subtle little changes. And then eventually they're gonna lay their hammer down. It's gonna be like, bam, this is gonna happen.
I was talking to a very well-known writer whose name I'm not going to say, just for the sake of safety. But I was talking to this guy at a convention, and he said, Marvel and DC are basically just IP farms right now.
Yeah, that's
and it's like, I mean, there's a place for that because it's like it's cool to see Jason Aaron's Thor run show up in the MCU. Like that is cool. And like Christian Bale did a really good job as the God Butcher. But it's like, yes, but at the same time, come on, guys. Like, like comic books and movies are not the same thing.
See, that's why I look at us, the independents. See, to me, I look at it like, again, that's their choice to do what they're gonna do. But this is a great opening for us independents to come out there and bring something new. Because I think because that's what happened back in the 40s and 50s and the 60s. There was a rush of new stuff that had to come. And I'm like, we need to embrace it. That's why I'm like, I don't really talk about Marvel and DC because I don't care about the Joneses. They're gonna keep doing what they're doing. And so more power to them. Me, all I can do is think about what I'm doing and how we can just keep this thing pushing and pushing. If we can get more independents out there pushing more solid stuff, then it will change the tide. It's going to create a whole new tide of stuff. We literally could be setting up the next stage of something amazing. But people got to believe it because that's the thing, because it has happened a couple of times. If you look at history, it's happened a couple of times where the shift happened. From the 50s, the 40s, from the 50s to the 60s, 70s,
the
80s.
golden age of comics. The golden age of comics, it's like, yes, you got Batman and Green Lantern and Captain America, but for every one of those guys, there are like 5 There was a character that was published by Marvel when it was still called Timely, called the Witness.
Right.
He showed up in like one issue, and then Straczynski did a limited series in like the early 2000s called like the 12, which was like, you know, all these old Golden Age heroes coming back into the modern age.
Right.
But like the Witness, like it was his backstory is that he was a cop. And he was a cop in Chicago, and he wound up accidentally shooting someone and was sent to prison, and then comes back and like he's like inches away from committing suicide, but he's stopped by this mysterious, all-powerful, all-knowing force, and he is empowered to help people. But what happens? What he has to do is he has to observe them for like a couple of days to like a week. And he has to decide whether or not they are worth saving. And once he makes that decision, he either leaves them to their fate or he swoops in and saves the day. It's like, that's an awesome idea. Like I want to do that. Like that would be great. Like you can't do that because I mean, Marvel still owns the copyright, but you know.
But you could create a character like that. See, that's the thing I see, because I'm starting to see people talk about rights on characters, and I'm like, why aren't people just creating their own stuff? You can create your own. Like you look at that character and you say, well, how would I do that character? You don't need that character. You just do it yourself.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, that's a conversation about copyright law, and it's like, I mean, like you know,
like
why run the risk?
Thinking about like Kaijus and Cowboys. Like I love a lot of Gonage stuff, you know, but I'm not gonna try to emulate or try to draw something like Mazinga Z. But I would create my own thing that would be a homage to it. That's why I love the term homage. Because that's what it is. You're doing a homage to something. You're not doing a rip of it, but you're doing an actual homage of something. And I think more people should go out there instead of just sitting around trying to be like, oh, well, I want to do this character. No, man, you do your own. You like Conan the Barbarian? Create your own Conan the Barbarian. Maybe that character might actually overshadow a Conan or and maybe down the years or whatever. Make your own X-Men, your own Fantastic Four. Just make sure that they're good.
I talk to like a lot of like when I'm at an event and I'm talking to like other writers and other creators, it's like, you know, I like talking about like, you know, the ideas that I have. Like I have what I call a logline list on my computer, which is basically just a library of like ideas that I have boiled down to a sentence. And like if I ever want to approach an artist, it's like, hey, I like your artwork. Here's a list of ideas that I have. Why don't you pick out a few that you like and we can talk some more?
Yeah.
And like when I'm talking to other writers and we're talking about like, you know, the process of coming up with ideas, they're like, oh, no, I don't want to talk about what I have because I want to make sure that it's mine and I want to keep it. It's like, I get it. I understand why they would say that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you want to, I have no problem sharing my ideas because I know that, like you and I can look at the same sentence and we can have two completely different ideas of how to make that work, how to organize it, of how to write it, of like how to characterize the whole thing. Like you can have two different people on the same idea and come up with two completely different products. So it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, go nuts. Like, you know, share your ideas.
Well, the thing about it is that to do anything like this, anything creative, like if you're really going to get out there and do creative, you got to take the leap of faith.
That too.
People have to understand that risk, you know, what's that old saying about risk and gains, no risk or something like that. It's like
nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Exactly. You're not, this isn't going to just fall into your lap. Like us right here, we're having a conversation. We're all talking right now. There's some people that don't even want to do this kind of stuff, like go on in and talk to people, you know. But it's like if you want to get into this, then you're gonna have to break out of your comfort zone. Yeah. And that comfort zone means you got to either show your artwork, you got to show your writings, you got to get in front of people, you got to talk to people, tell people about what you're doing. You got
to be willing to take up with a lot, to put up with a lot of crap.
You got to have people who maybe not like what you do. I mean, that's going to be a fact. People may not like it, but you know, as long as you are secure in what you're putting out, then you know you'll navigate through those waters. You know, that's just life.
I'll be honest, that was me at the very beginning, and it's like I think a lot of aspiring comic book creators like probably have a similar story where it's like, oh, I'm going to create this, single great idea, and this is going to launch me into the stratosphere of fame and fortune. And like, it's so easy to do. Anyone can do it. It's like, no, it's not. And like that was a lesson I had to learn the hard way, but I learned it, and you got to keep with it. And
we're still learning. I think that's the thing about it. You never stop learning. We're always each campaign we're doing, there's little tweaks here and there. There's always something that you pick up, and it's like, oh, there's a little nugget there, and learn something, and oh my god. So it's definitely a process. I would say to anybody out there that wants to get into this, first do your research. Be comfortable. Make sure that you check everything. Don't immediately just do a Kickstarter.
Oh God! I tried doing that too.
I'm not picking on Kickstarter, but just a crowdfunder. Don't immediately say, okay, I got this crazy idea and I'm gonna do a crowdfunder. Take your time. If you can't draw your stuff, do your due diligence and try to find a good or work with an artist or somebody who you can trust, who's going to actually be there that you can work with. Vice versa, if you're trying to get a writer, work with somebody that you can trust that's going to be there so you guys can get this thing going. Take your time with it. You don't rush it. I'm seeing too many people rushing because immediately they have like this. They watch an episode on TV or they see a movie and they go, "Oh my God, I got an idea!" Or the worst thing is trying to get into this to make money, because that's the worst thing. Don't.
I have no comment on that.
That's a no. Don't think of it as a sense of making money, but think of it as something where you're constantly going to learn. You're going to learn certain things and whatever, and it just build off of it. You'll eventually will build, but it's going to take some time.
And I can't believe I have to say this, but it bears repeating: pay your artist.
Yeah. Or vice versa, pay your writer.
I can't oh yes, please.
Yeah.
Please, that'd be fantastic. We're not that expensive, I solemnly swear. Or editors are not that expensive at all. There's a website called Comics Experience. It's run by Andy Schmidt, who used to be an editor at Marvel. It's $30 a month. And what you can do is it's basically a repository of people's scripts. Like you'll type up like a 20 to 24 page script, and they have this great rule where you have to review 3 other scripts before you can submit yours. But you can get professional and amateur eyes on your script and on your idea. Okay. And doing that. It's like I said, it's only $30 a month. And cool. It's it's a great thing. I haven't been as involved in it as I should, but when I was just starting out, that was great. The people who were looking at my script, I would look at a Marvel book and I would see their name in the editor or the associate editor position. Nice. So these people know what they're doing. So the resources are all there.
Yeah.
All the stuff is there.
Yep.
You just, you
do your research, due diligence.
To quote Nike, you just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. But be smart. Be smart about it. That's the thing. Yeah. Take your time, be patient about it, and just watch and learn and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of tutorials out here. When I hear people start saying whatever, I'm like, there's tutorials out here. There's tutorials. There's people, there's people online. There actually are some nice people. If you approach it a certain way and say, hey, how you doing? I'm just starting this thing or whatever. There's some people who will offer suggestions and things like that. You gotta break through whatever that fear is, that wall is that you have inside of you and stuff that's stopping you from going out to do this. The
worst
if you truly are passionate about it, though. Yeah.
I love saying this. The worst thing they can do is say no.
Yeah.
It's just no. And if your idea gets rejected, or if you didn't get the dream artist you wanted to, okay, fine. There's, with all due respect, Frankie, there are a million other artists out there. That would be that can do it. Now, granted, no intention of switching out now. We have a good thing going, but
the thing about it is that it's like for me, I always felt like I was always in a line of I say, look, I don't go out there trying to be just a the best artist. I know that I'm bringing a lot more to the table. My experience, my my professionalism. I always hear a lot of people talk about artists, but they never talk in terms of professionalism. The fact that the artist is going to continue doing the job, do the work, and whatever. Those are qualities that you need to have or find in the person that you're going to work with. Because I'm seeing a lot of people getting burned. I mean, it's not going to help anybody if you end up getting somebody and then they just flake on you after you've given them half your money and then all of a sudden they're gone. So the thing
I've had that happen.
Yeah. So the thing about it is that to get a quality artist or even quality writer, you got to take your time. You got to do your research and stuff. And they're out there. We're out there. There's people who are very professional minded who, they'll say, okay, talk to me and whatever. And then we can try to figure things out. But, I consider that more of my strength right there, more so than my artwork. I think I'm a good artist, but years of experience is my.
And that's why we've been working together for 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So,
and besides,
all right.
You have an artist that has a custom pop of the main character.
Yes,
right now
had that done.
Kaijus and Cowboys.
Yes, I had to get that. I had to get it.
I'm a little jealous.
That's promotion. Oh.
So this is the print.
Yes, the campaign.
Yes.
I know. Half an hour later, we're still talking about the campaign.
I know. I'm looking at the clock too, guys, and I think I'm gonna have to head on out, man. My eyes are getting a little heavy.
Oh, I feel you. The one question I did have.
All right.
Was I noticed the only way to get the Bob patch is through a certain tier. There's no add-on.
Okay. Yeah.
Patch, right?
That was something that was brought up.
Yes.
So going back to a learning experience, like this, that was based off of, that was based off the previous campaigns we had done, which were just single issues, and all that. So, we understand that there's concern. We hear you, and we're going to work on making the next one better. So that's another great thing about this fantastic world we live in: instant communication and instant feedback on your stuff. So we're not going to be able to do that now for this campaign because I tried and you can't edit a reward after someone has donated on that specific reward tier for Kickstarter. But I think because the last crowdfunding campaign we did a company called Zoop, which is a great company that they're doing a cool thing, and their two big innovations were we will print and ship for you, and also the other thing they did was here is the book and here is a library of stuff that you can add on to the book, as opposed to you can only buy it in set reward tiers. So we're going to work on that for the next one for Kickstarter. We'll have a thing where you buy the book and then you can do add-ons for the campaign. So that's something that we know of.
You know what would be a good idea? It just came to my mind. Maybe we should do a poll. I've seen a lot of people do polls to ask what would they want, what would they want as the add-ons are separate and stuff.
Oh yeah,
That might be able to get a better sense from what people may want, because my whole thing was that I always worry if people are coming, say people who buy stuff now, then they don't want to get the same duplicate thing again. They don't want to be forced to buy the same thing again, which is not fair. So that's a valid question, a valid critique, and it's something we will work on in future campaigns. So.
And 2 new cards, and while we're here, there's the doc patch.
Yeah, the doc patch.
And yes, we're working on getting a shiny binder for you to put all your stuff in.
For the trading cards,
cool.
Yes.
For the cards, for the books, for the prints, yeah.
So there we go.
And
54, wow. Did we get somebody else?
Yep.
Yeah, yesterday.
No.
Yeah.
Wasn't it just 53?
Yeah.
Yes, you got somebody else.
Yeah, we got somebody
was
else.
me.
Oh, was you? Oh.
Well,
That's
whoever this
specifically
person
why I was
is,
asking you about the Bob patch, because I was like,
Oh, the doc.
well, whoever that person is, he's a fantastic. They are a fantastic person, and we are eternally grateful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
I am kind of fantastic. But guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Everybody go out
thank
and
you.
get you some Kaijus and Cowboys. If you're new to this, there's lots of tiers that you can get both issues 1 and 2 on. There's tiers that you can choose one issue or the other in case you already have the first issue, and lots of cool stuff. There's the Doc patch.
Yes, there he goes.
Which is tier specific currently. So you have to do like me and dive into the shallow end of the pool head first to just get that. Especially if you have the first.
I can't wait to get them. Put them in my collection too.
Yeah, and I have another patch of Frankie's that he did for Ginger's campaign about a year or so ago.
Ginger's. Oh.
He's from Florida. It was like a Dungeons and Dragons spoof.
Oh, that one. Okay, got you. Oh yeah, wow, nice.
Gingerton, yes.
Got you. Yes. Okay, now I remember. Okay.
So I've got other Frankie patches.
Oh.
So guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
To this
Thank you.
Podcast. Please follow us. It's free. You can also watch the episodes on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and some other place that I can't remember right now because
wherever podcasts are sold.
Oh, there you go.
Well, wherever free podcasts are gotten.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
With the book. 20 days left.
20 days left.
Get you some Kaijus and Cowboys.
That's right. Come on.
We're galloping towards that stretch goal.
Become a writer. Become a writer and join us on this journey.
Yeah.
Come on in. The water's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank everybody so much, and we'll be back next Wednesday with another brand new episode, getting into it with some more creators. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all next time. Read a comic.
Yes.
And go Bruins.
Our comic.
Go Bruins.